Hello, this is Michael from Jado Imaging Supplies coming to you with a question answer from one of our clients. And the question is really straightforward, but it's an important question that a lot of people have. Dye sublimation ovens, which is better, using shrink wraps or using silicone wraps? As always, the answer to these questions is not as simple as this one's better than the other. The question is which is better for you. So let's talk about it. Shrink wrap. Why is shrink wrap great? Well, shrink wrap is great because the entry expense is very, very small. You can get shrink for, very reasonable prices per unit. It's pretty simple to apply, pretty simple to remove, works on a wide variety of drinkware, gets you the job done, and, gets you to the next step without costing you a lot of extra money on the entry point. Silicone wraps. Silicone wraps are faster per unit, which makes them much more desirable for industrial, for large runs. Also, they're reusable. So if you're going to be doing a large volume of these things, eventually a silicone wrap ends up being cheaper, but certainly not at the front end. At the front end, a lot of silicone wraps can be as expensive as $60 and $70 per wrap, per unit. And that's a lot. So let's talk a little bit about how to apply them and where your time difference is and see what you think. All right. So let's talk about silicone wraps first, or rather shrink wraps first. This is just a standard Coke-shaped water bottle. This is a very popular item. A lot of people are making these. Love the fact that you're able to sublimate on this surface here. And, who hasn't owned at least one of these in their lifetime, right? Okay, so for that, because our actual image area doesn't usually come up into where it bows and isn't necessarily cylindrical, we're not going to worry about that in terms of sizing. What we'll do instead is we'll grab a small one here that we know will fit properly over the top and over the rest of the bottle. When we're applying it, we're actually going to bring it up, in this case, to make sure that we're not shrink wrapping over this metal bit at the bottom. We're not sublimating that, and these metallic style surfaces are likely to have the shrink wrap stick to it a little bit. And we prefer not to have to go through and scrape that off with our fingernail, right? So we're gonna put it on, set to that, and it'll come up to a little bit less than there because, of course, the shrink wrap it will shrink, right? So let's just do that really quickly so you can see how long it generally takes to do that properly. All right, let's get that sized right. Put my heat on. Oh, it's definitely slipped on me a little bit there. So I won't go through the process of really trying to make sure that the heat gets on that shrink there so that I make it a little easier for myself to remove afterwards. Well, there. I would say basically I'm done. Now, there isn't an image under here, right? But that really doesn't change the application process. So that shows you about how quickly that can be done, right? It's not a perfect science. It's not uncommon that it's going to move on you a little bit. But as long as the image area is totally covered and has pressure, then the shrink wrap is going to be able to do its job. Okay, so that's that. Without even bothering to take this off yet, let's take a look at what it would mean to throw a silicone wrap over it. Okay. Now this one is actually properly sized to what we're going to be using, right? And if I had, 10 or 15 of these, I could make a very nice assembly line, large assembly line, right? That would allow me to have one set in my oven while I had another set ready and out so that I could prepare my next grouping to go in, my next set in the line. All right, so let's imagine I've already got the image applied. That's going to take the same amount of time no matter which process you use. And now I drop that in. I make sure that it is covering, again, my image area. That's really the only thing that's important. All right? And then I will bring that up. And I have 2 layers of clips here that I can use. I'm going to be using the inner one so that I have good pressure. And now it's applied. I've got about the same level of tension, pressure on that bottle, and that's going to be perfect for use. Now that one's ready, and I can move on to the next one. You can see that that's even quicker. And of course, the advantage of this is that I'll be able to pop this off very easily, use it again, use it again, use it again, use it again. Eventually, they do wear out. And that's why if you're somebody who's doing incredibly large volumes or wants more versatility from your wrap, the far better wrap is this HIX style wrap, which does have adjustable settings that allow you to change the tension that you get here on your silicone, and has a locking mechanism that will go around drinkware of all kinds, including drinkware that has handles, and get perfect tension all around it. For the purposes of that kind of application, the HIX Wrap is far, far superior. Not surprising, it's also considerably more expensive. So versatility and durability, longevity, and expense, this is going to be the, well, it's going to be higher in all those categories, including expense. All right, so getting it off. With the HIX Wrap, it's pretty straightforward, very similar to what I'm going to show you here. You're just going to push up and open it up. With this, very similarly, I'm wearing gloves at this point because it's hot out of an oven. Pop that off like that. Take my image off. This one's done. Taking off the shrink wrap is a little bit more involved. You can buy shrink wrap that has perforations in it that does make that easier, but regardless, you do have to be careful with this. And the reason you have to be careful is you don't want to scratch your bottle, right? And so you want to be able to carefully remove this, and it will be a slightly longer, more involved process. So what I like to do, and I don't have an image under here to protect it, is I will often take like an X-Acto knife, something like this maybe, and I'll just gently run down where I've already got an image underneath to protect it so I'm not scratching the bottle. In this case, I don't have that, so I have to be even more careful if I don't want to destroy this bottle. What I'm going to need to do, and I'm going to put my glasses on to do it so I don't mess this up, is I'm either going to go in there underneath with my fingernail and try and get a spot there where I can get it up, and then maybe clip that with a pair of scissors or something, and then I will peel it off like this. Not the fastest process of any, in fact, it's going to be the slowest process of any of them, but the shrink wrap in terms of the job it does is the equivalent of the silicone. So finding the right solution for you depends on a couple of things. Cost of entry. Shrink wrap, far superior. Quality of final product, I call it even. Ease of application and removal, silicone. And more specifically, durability and versatility, HIX Wrap among the silicone is unmatched. Well, I hope this has been a big help. This is Michael from Giotto Imaging Supplies, here with an answer to a question. Hope I didn't take you too long doing it. Have a lovely day. And of course, if you like this kind of content, well, like the video. If you really like it, subscribe and tell your friends. And as always, we do read the questions, so ask questions because we love to answer them. Until next time, take care.